Man, I love freedom. Isn't it a great thing? You know, it's something that we take for granted. In the overall realm of things, I don't really know what's important in the end. I suppose just family and friends, standing for what's right throughout your life. I suppose being rich would be nice, but I suppose it's what you did with your riches that would matter. You know, I love being a regular guy, I do. I mean, I guess I think I'm regular. There's other people I'm sure think I'm abby-normal. But I sure love being part of this country, having my family in it. You know, when I reflect on things in life, right, it's only in prayer at night. My favorite time in life is nighttime, when everybody's in bed. You know, when my son is safe, my wife is safe, our dog is safe, everybody's secured in our home, and I know that I can protect them and everybody's healthy. And it's then that I find myself praising God for all the good things I have. And believe me, not everything in my life is well. I've been fighting for about 4 years, put all my savings into an invention, and I don't know how that's going to turn out. But, boy, I sure love having a healthy wife and son and pet. I love walking through the woods. You know, I love living in a country that's free. And I know there's, oh gosh, I know, we're not free and blah, 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 but we are free. You know, when I pay attention to people that come to this country from somewhere else and understand the country better than people that have been living here for generations, because they come from somewhere where there really is no freedom, no opportunity. I mean, it's why good people that come from other countries come here and are happy to work in a convenience store or at a car wash. They're happy that they themselves, or if they have a family, have a roof over their head, have food in their bellies, have the opportunity to have a day off and a little bit of money in the bank, just a little bit, but enough to get an ice cream cone and to make friends. And they have the opportunity to think and be creative, innovative, and make a living. That's why America is so great. And I know that the country has its problems. I do. But I think it's important for all of us to reflect sometimes on how really great the country is and what we're really blessed with. You know, I talk a lot about freedom. I talk a lot about guns because I always loved guns, but I see guns as a part of freedom. But I think overall, how do we bring the country together? How can we come together? There are some things I'm afraid there is just no way to meet a middle ground. And I think that's a fact. You know, freedoms in America allow you to make decisions. Freedom being free people allows you the opportunity to do something evil. Because if we suddenly take the freedoms of all Americans because some people take advantage of a freedom, then the country becomes less free. Isn't that the truth? We can't take freedoms from everybody because others would choose to do something wrong. You know, simple laws that say if you attack someone for no reason, to take their things, hurt people, simple laws make sense, but laws that are made that hurt everyone, that take freedoms from everyone because of a few bad apples, it doesn't make any sense. You know, I saw in looking on Facebook this morning, which is my news, we haven't watched regular TV for over a decade now. The only news I know about is what people that I like and people that share to our Vantac page, what they talk about, which can be limiting, but I'm so tired of the way the media handles things. I don't need everybody's opinion. I just need to know the facts. Somehow that escapes the truth. But I saw an article this morning of a model. I don't remember her name. Some, beautiful woman, I would guess in her 30s. And she wrote, something about the atrocities of people being killed, and we need to take all the assault rifles, and she was going to give $10 of every $100 spent on her products to give to an organization that was in Washington, D.C. trying to take assault rifles. And then somebody else had posted on there, "You're so awesome, but how will that work? Then there will still be other guns." And then she wrote on there, "Yeah, I know, but we're trying to take all of the guns." And I had to comment on her page about her lack of understanding of firearms. How for the 10,000, 15,000 deaths that are caused by firearms, millions of firearms are used to protect people's lives and save people's lives, most of them without ever firing a shot. I wrote in there, in my life, I was shot at 3 times directly, twice in ambushes, and many times through windows, walls, and doors with the team I served on to protect people. Never once did I or anybody I work with ever think of taking guns from the general public because some numbskull had a gun and decided to do something bad with it. There's a young girl, I can't remember her name, I don't know. Anyway, she has her own page and she's pro-gun, and she goes around universities talking about being a conservative. I think she goes by the nickname of Gun Girl or something. And some of her stuff is pretty interesting, and she was talking today to somebody about guns, and the person said to her something about gun violence, and she said, "Well, isn't it interesting that's not a fair representation of guns? Because when someone does something wrong with a gun, it's gun violence, but when somebody does something wrong with a knife, it's not knife violence, or if somebody runs somebody over with a car, it's not car violence." And it was a great point. I mean, I don't know if it was hers, if she heard it somewhere else, or if she came up with it, but it was a great point, and it's the truth. You see, that's manipulation. So when people think of violence, which I had talked a little while back, how I sat with my pastor and we were talking about violence, and he told me that he didn't see me as a violent man, and I said, "Actually, I'm a very violent person, but I abhor violence." I took it as a great compliment because I don't want people to see me as violent. I don't like violence, but I'm very good at it, and I can be very violent. But there's no machismo in it. That's how God made me. But you see, we manipulate people into believing that violence is bad. But in itself, violence can't be good or bad. Violence is just an act of reality. If someone uses violence to commit a crime or against innocent people, then the act of violence in itself, really the word, violence is not the bad. It's how it's used. Because what do you think soldiers and policemen and even the average person who defends themselves uses to win in a fight? It's violence. But you see, once we get everybody to believe that everything about violence is bad, then in that, people who aren't thinking and recognizing they're being manipulated, on the left or on the right, begin to think anything tied to violence is bad. So soldiers, bad. Policemen, bad. Anybody that defends themselves, well, they used violence, so they're bad. Do you see that? Gun violence. Oh, guns, violence, bad, bad. See, we're being manipulated, and it's not true. It's just not true. But in a free nation, we all have the opportunity to think what we want. But you know what I wrote on that model's page? I said, God blessed you with beauty, with external beauty. Perhaps you should educate yourself on the truth of a matter prior to speaking about it. And that's what we all need to do, regardless of what you believe in. If you believe in something, research it. And don't just look somewhere where the articles can be false and they can manipulate you. Research the truth. It's what we all need to do. Because you see, with truth, we can find common ground. We really can. There are going to be some things that people will always disagree upon how to handle them, but there really is only one truth. Though there may be a lot of gray areas to how to handle or solve something, because we're not always dealing with just simple truth with people, because not everybody is truthful. We're people. If we were all truthful and moral, the entire world would be basking in wealth and goodness. But that's not the way it is. So this morning, I'm going to enjoy what I see as beautiful weather. I love the cool weather. And I love being in Montana. And I love the freedom of this country. It's what's on my mind today. I mean, I think of being young and single. Imagine being young and single, which I'm not. I'm loving being married and having a child, and I don't even mind getting old. But in this country, you can be young and single and have maybe $1,000 in a bank account and a skill in a simple art. And wake up one morning and say, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to quit my job and jump in my car, and I'm going to drive to the other side of the country and just try something new. There's a great saying from the movie, actually I read it in the book, I don't read many books, but Into the Wild, and then they made the movie. But in the book there was a great quote that kid that ended up living that life and that story and then died in Alaska. And it said something to the point of, nothing is more damaging to the adventurous spirit within a man than a secure future. And it's the truth, because I stayed in Las Vegas. I lived there almost 40 years, and I stayed the last 20 years because I wanted my pension as a policeman. And as soon as I had the opportunity to pull my pension, though, I left. Because there's so much in life to live, because we live in the greatest country in the world. How I want people to come together, to stop threatening and being cruel. I don't know how we will, but maybe just in simple talk over a cup of coffee we can start. God loves you. And congratulations for living in the greatest country in the world. Have a good morning.